Hello everybody and welcome to today's video. And in today's video, I'll be doing a 2024 election prediction between Andrew Yang and Marjorie Taylor-Greene. Yesterday I did one between AOC and Ron DeSantis. Today I'm doing one between Andrew Yang and MTG, just because it's probably each party's strongest versus the opposing party's worst. So Yang being the Democrats' strongest likely candidate versus MTG being the Republicans' um, weakest likely candidate, if you can call her a likely candidate, and the same thing earlier. Today, I'm gonna be honest, I spent most of my day sitting down on my couch watching The Simpsons. I probably watched there's a good chance I watched like 20 or 30 episodes. So that was a pretty relaxing day. I'm filming this fairly early. It's only 8:57 or 8:47 right now. It'll probably be out by like 9:30 though. So I'm gonna get started by labeling Yanks safe states: Washington, Oregon, California. I think that both New Mexico and Colorado would be safe. I think that he's popular with working class voters, and he'd be strong enough with Hispanic and Latino voters. Also, MTG is a conspiracy theorist, which is not something that you want to be if you're trying to win an election. For her safe states: Wyoming, Idaho, the Dakotas, Nebraska's third, Oklahoma, Arkansas, Kentucky, West Virginia, and Tennessee. It's hard to see. It's hard because it could be likely. Honestly, same with Kentucky. Oops, I accidentally just clicked my edit thing. If you go look at 2020 and go look at the presidential election, why am I on Rhode Island? I don't know if I was actually on Rhode Island recently. Trump won Kentucky by 26%, and he won Tennessee by like 23%. So they're states that it would have to take like an 11 or 8% shift. So it's not an insane possibility. We could see them both being likely. I would think that Tennessee would be more likely to be likely, also because Yang is stronger with white rural voters. So it could be like maybe with like Rust Belt voters in Kentucky, but I'm just gonna give him to MTG safe. For Andrew Yang's likely states, I'm gonna give him Nevada, Arizona, Georgia, North Carolina, Virginia, Minnesota, Nebraska second, Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania, and Maine at large. Alabama, same thing. It could be likely or safe. So for Nevada, I think he'd be pretty strong with the white rural vote, a lot of these working class voters, but he'd also be really strong with Hispanic and Latino voters, and also just do better overall since he's running against Marjorie Taylor-Greene. In Arizona, they really don't like far right Republicans, and Marjorie Taylor-Greene is certainly a far right Republican. So she would do horrendously there. In Georgia and North Carolina, I think that Yang is first off a fairly strong candidate for both these areas. In Georgia, not only would he normally do pretty well in Atlanta and its suburbs and do well with the white rural voters, similar thing in North Carolina, he would do especially well against Marjorie Taylor-Greene. I guess you could see voters from Marjorie Taylor-Greene's district turn out for her, but I don't think it's insanely likely. Virginia, it was likely it could be safe. It was likely in 2020. I just don't see Marjorie Taylor-Greene doing. I think that Yang is a good candidate for the white rural vote. I just don't. Well, it's hard to tell. It could be likely. Could be. I'm actually gonna give it to Yang safe, just because it like traditional Republicans, and Yang is also a pretty strong candidate, and it's leftward shifting, and she is a very bad candidate. As for Nebraska second, I forgot to label New Hampshire. It was likely in 2020 he'll do better all over the area, better in urban areas, better in the suburbs. Marjorie Taylor-Greene is an awful candidate for the suburbs. Across the entire Rust Belt, Marjorie Taylor-Greene will be too weak with the white working class, and Yang is a really strong white working class candidate. In Maine, it was likely in 2020 probably like a 13 or 14% margin of victory for Yang. In New Hampshire, similar thing. I think he'd do better with the white rural college educated vote. And it would help him. Also, Marjorie Taylor-Greene, once again, not a good candidate. For Marjorie Taylor-Greene's likely states, she has Utah, Kansas, Nebraska. Nebraska's first. Nebraska could be safe. We could see Nebraska at large be safe. I'm just going to give it to her likely. Missouri, Louisiana, Mississippi, and Indiana. So, looking at this, Utah, Trump won it by like 20%. She'll do really bad in rural areas, or honestly all across the state. She'll do bad in Salt Lake City as well, which Ingle will do well in. Same thing or similar thing in Kansas law of white rural vote that Yang would do better with and Marjorie Taylor-Greene would do worse with. She would also shift the suburbs really hard to the left. Louisiana, Mississippi, she would do really, really bad with black voters, and she'd probably do pretty bad in what few urban areas there are. In Missouri, she'd do honestly just bad all across the board, but Yang is a strong candidate, I think, for a state like Missouri, at least for a Democrat. In Indiana, she'd do worse with the white working class, and Yang would actually do a lot better than with them. In Nebraska's first, it was only 15%. It has suburbs, and the suburbs are going to swing hard to the left. And in Nebraska at large, I mean, like in 2020, we can go look at this. Trump won them by like 19%. They'll probably move down to likely. For Yang's lean states, Iowa, Ohio, Indiana's likely. Maine second, Florida, and Texas. So in Iowa, it Marjorie Taylor Greene would not be strong with the white rural vote. She's Trumpist, obviously, but not. She's too crazy. And then Yang is also a pretty strong candidate with the white rural vote. In Ohio, she'd do really bad with the white working class, and the very red suburbs would swing heavily to the left. And Yang would do really well with the white working class. In Florida, they really do not like radical candidates. It is right leaning, but I mean, like, if they were to run a conspiracy theorist, it would just be too much. In Texas, similar thing. Yang would do well with the white rural vote, but he would do a lot better in Houston and Dallas, and he'd improve significantly, or actually probably return to Clinton numbers, if not better numbers, in the Rio Grande Valley. Maine second, similar thing as in Iowa and Ohio. She would be too weak with the white rural vote, where Yang would do really, really well. As for Marjorie Taylor Greene's lean states, I'm going to give her Montana and Alaska. So as for Montana, it was like a 16% Trump state. It's a red state, yes, and it voted for Trump by 16%. But they tend to like moderates. I mean, like they have a far right Trumpist elected to the Senate, and Steve Daines. He's one of the most Trumpist Republicans in the Senate. But they also elected John Tester, and I mean, like they like to elect moderates, and Yang would be a really strong candidate for the white rural vote. Especially against a candidate like Marjorie Taylor Greene. Also, this is less significant, but John Tester would be on the ballot unless he resigns or retires or something, which is unlikely. In Alaska, I mean, like, she'd do pretty bad with the white rural vote, where Yang would do very well. We'd also, or not sorry, the white rural vote. She'd do bad with the white vote, and Yang would do better with raised Native American turnout. Yang has no tilt states. South Carolina, I think, would narrowly go to Marjorie Taylor Greene. I think that she would do really bad in the white rural, or I think she'd do bad in the white rural areas where Yang would do very well, and she would do bad with black rural voters. But it's just so red that she'd narrowly be able to hang on. So yeah, this is obviously a blue wave. It would be a landslide for Yang. So yeah, thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, please leave a like below. Stay tuned for my next video tomorrow. Not 100% certain what to film. I have an idea. Please subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. And I will see you all tomorrow. Bye.